Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One Leeds, and I am joined by Jer. Yeah, from the Leeds view. I'm absolutely buzzing to be joined by him. Look, guys, we natter all the time about Leeds, and it's voice notes here, voice notes there. I don't think Jer's ever received as many voice notes as a Conor McGilligan realm.
7-minute whopper.
Jer will send me a 1 minute and I'll respond with an 8-minute. So, yeah, and a lot of my mates will know all about that. But yeah, we're here to talk about Leeds United, the current situation. I think it's the first time we got together in about 4 or 5, maybe even longer, mate. 6 months. But I thought it's always quite poignant in the international break, innit? But how you doing, mate? All good?
Yeah, I'm really good. Yeah, those 7-minute mini podcasts are pretty good. You know, I get to bring the dog for a walk and have a listen to see, you know, I get my own version of Monday musings strolling around. So yeah, they're really good. We've been going back and forth. I think me and you tend to dip into conversations when things aren't going particularly well. Going, are we okay? Is everything fine? How are you feeling about this? So yeah, it's good. I'm good outside of that. Everything else is fine. I hate international breaks, but it's an important one for Ireland now. So I'm ready to do a watch along tonight. I'm big up for Ireland, Czech Republic, and if we can win that big game next week, if we can get past this one. So yeah, it's good. All good.
Yeah, go check it out, everybody, on Jer's channel as well. The watch along. Did you do it last time with Ireland? I can't remember, with the dramatic.
I got emotional. I nearly cried. I did cry.
Was it? Did you do the watch along for that? Yeah. Oh, incredible.
I couldn't clip it up because I had issues getting the downloads off big up. But yeah, I had a proper emotional moment. I was even the other night watching one of the clips that were put out, and it was the Rocky music had been added to you know, that last bit where, you know,
always tips you over the edge.
Oh, just a little, you know, the single tear down the side of the face.
What about the rugby, mate? What about the rugby? I bet you were cursing the English, weren't you? When we
look, I may have been cheering for England for a little bit of that match. I mean, just a little bit in the last kick of the game, but yeah, look, nothing surprised me. This is an Irish rugby team in transition as well, so it's
not bad,
surprisingly decent Six Nations, to be fair.
Yeah, a lot of poor teams in there, but yeah, Ireland did very well. All right then, mate. Well, I guess probably the perfect place to start, and following our voice notes, which we just need to make into a podcast anyway. We'll start on the Leeds' current situation. I guess we don't need to go too far back, I don't think, because it's just not relevant now. Nobody will care. But I guess there's context that is going to have to be applied going a little bit further back, which me and you have spoken about off air. An interesting predicament, mate. It feels like there's been the golden nugget of Leeds pulling away now for at least 4 weeks, maybe even longer. And we just can't seem to get there, mate. And it wouldn't be a Leeds United season if we just did get there and simply got to 40 points, would it?
No drama? Leeds? No, come on. No, we know better than that. Yeah. I've been saying for years, even since our last time we got promoted to the Premier League, I've been saying, like, it would be great to have a couple of years of mid-table mediocrity. You know, no chance of going down, no chance of Europe or promote, you know, top table stuff. Just nice and relaxed. But yeah, it's not the Leeds way. But I did think that this league table would accordion a little bit before the season was over. But I did think it would accordion during the Chelsea, Aston Villa, Man City games. Which it didn't. That was actually a really good spell for us. But it has now. I think we're all just looking at it going, is this the week? Is this the week? Is this the week? Is this the week? When are we going to, you know, pull away? And I think the really important games are still ahead of us. And I think they're the ones that we need to focus on. I think we need 3 wins. And I think that they're there for us. And I think you've said this on X as well. If we don't get those wins, then we don't deserve to be in the Premier League next season. That's the important factor here. But yeah, it wouldn't be in Leeds' remit to give us a nice, relaxed, easy run into the end of the season. But there's stakes there, and I haven't hated this season, funnily enough. I really like this group of players. I like this squad. I like the fight and the battle there. And I like the mixing up of styles. Not always, but I do like the fact that we've gone a bit different this season. So I'm hopeful still. I'm still hopeful. I still believe it's in our hands.
Yeah, it definitely is, mate, isn't it? It's definitely in our hands. I think you do look at those fixtures, and yeah, you're right. I did put it on X, and I think there's I think really when you look at, and I know football doesn't work like this, because you look at these easy fixtures, deemed easy fixtures down there, and we've got, 3 of the bottom 4 to play. And we all know right now, Wolves are trying to build momentum into next season. Burnley will probably be doing the same thing. Tottenham are going to be fighting for their lives. So there's a lot of context that needs to be applied. You play teams a little bit higher up and maybe they'll be a little bit simpler, but then we have played Palace, Sunderland and Brentford and not won a game. But yeah, it just feels like right now, and I think Farkas said it pre-Brentford effectively, and obviously paraphrasing a little bit here, but if we don't stay in the league, ultimately, we don't deserve to stay in the Premier League. And I think he was probably, referring there to the fixtures as well.
Yeah, I think he's right. But Leeds' issues this season have not been against the sides in the top half of the table. Leeds' issues this season have been the sides in the bottom half of the table, like Burnley away, and we did beat Wolves, but Fulham were in there as well. We, lost a last minute game there, although we rectified it a little bit. We beat West Ham, although we were back to the wall in that game at home for the second half because we decided to come out and not play in the second half. And a lot of it comes down to our approach. And I've been saying it for weeks. I think it's Leeds' approach will be the deciding factor here. And what I mean by that is, if you look during that real purple patch that we had, it was far more direct. It was playing the ball from back to front quickly. It was giving Dominic Calvert-Lewin an opportunity to isolate centre halves 1v1. And even if he wasn't winning the first ball, Brendan Aronson was sitting in space and picking up loose balls, and Leeds were able to get running the people. And if you look at that spell, even the Manchester United home game, the amount of times Brendan Aronson picked up the ball in space and was able to run with it. And then you look at the last 3 games, and look, every time Brendan Aronson picks up the ball, there's 3 players around him. Now, some of that is teams adapting to what Leeds are doing, but some of it is also, it's taking us too long to get the ball up the pitch now. By the time it gets to Calvert-Lewin, he's trying to run through bodies of players to try and get to the ball, or it's, we've been pressed into the point where we're just kicking it long, and then it's not a direct pass, it's a long ball, so he has to run 20 yards across the park to try and get to it rather than being aimed at him. So for me, it's how we approach these games, and I think against the sides, top sides in the Premier League, in inverted commas, we will go more direct. We'll sit back and we'll hit them quick. Against the lesser sides, again in inverted commas, we can play football against these. We can hold on to the ball. This side has never been great at that. Even the Championship, I didn't love Leeds doing that because, again, the longer it takes you to get the ball from back to front, the easier it is for sides to get into a low block or a mid block. And we know Leeds' history with low blocks and mid blocks. So for me, against the next couple of sides coming up, Leeds have got to get back to front quickly. They've got to get up the park. Whether it's fast moving it along the deck or whether it's a long direct ball at the park, they've got to start moving that ball quickly. And I think that will dictate where Leeds' points come from. If they can do that, I think they'll get enough points to stay in the league. If they go and do what they did against Sunderland and try and pass their way out, then I think they've got a problem. I wasn't as down on the Brentford game as as a lot of people. I thought the Sunderland game was the worst game of football I've ever seen. And unfortunately, I was out of pocket to do about 600 quid by the time I got back.
I think that's where I got your voice notes.
Well, I was walking back from the ground and I was having a rant. Yeah. Yeah, it was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I thought Brentford were at least more organised in terms of, I don't think they necessarily came to get a point because they're
very difficult to break down, weren't they? Very difficult.
Very organised side. Yeah, really, really organised side. And I thought we actually did. I mean, if you look at the defensive statistics in that week, I mean, Bial was one of the most clearances in the whole division. Stroke was the same. Our best take-ons were our fullbacks. James Justin, funnily enough, had one of the best take-on percentages in the league that week, despite the fact we were all saying he missed Gabby's forward momentum in that game. So it tells you something. It tells you that Leeds were pushing just against the very organised. But again, probably too slow, and that was the problem. So I love our defence. I think our defence, when we've got that back three with Bial, Stroke and Rodon, I think they're one of the 3 most solid in the division. I think Bial is probably one of the best centre-backs in the league. The midfield is the area that I would like a bit more. What's the word I'm looking for here? A bit
variation,
more positivity, a bit more ambition. I'd like to see maybe Tanaka in there a bit more and try and progress the ball quicker, because we've got good defensive midfielders in there, but I want to see someone progress the ball a lot quicker and a bit more freedom. And then we need attackers. If Lucas Metch is going to play with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, put them up front together. Why is he playing on the left when you've got Willie Gnonto who can do that? And Gnonto's been excellent when he's come off the bench this season. So if Okafor is not available, play Gnonto. Go like for like. Or if you're not going to play him and you are going to play Metch, play him up top. So again, depending on how Leeds approach these games coming up, and funnily enough, I think we might actually nick something away at Manchester United. It's the 2 home games that I'm more worried about.
Yeah, yeah, it feels like they're very unpredictable at the minute, aren't they, Joe? I think it's.
Mm.
I mean, I'm even looking at Wolves and I'm looking at Burnley, and I'm thinking, if you approach it in the same way as we did against Brentford and Sunderland, and yeah, Brentford obviously there is the caveat and context that they're going for Europe. They're an excellent defensive side, and when they set up and there was Pinnock in there was Collins, there's Van der Berg, and then you had Jensen and Henderson just basically on the toes. I thought this is going to be long. This is going to be a
Jensen was good.
Yeah,
Jensen
very
was
good,
good,
very good. But if we do kind of set up like that, I agree. I don't necessarily think all the time as well that the possession thing is like a problem. I think it's just like the direction of possession. I think a lot of the time it's very easy tempo wise to. I even thought that in the championship at points, and I know we had the assets to be able to blow teams away. And I think Farkas mentioned that. He said, "Look, we had the best team in the division, so it was different." But I just think at points when it's side to side, like it is, and you even saw it with Brentford, like Brentford were in a low block, but how incisively they were able to get the ball, they were able to vary it a little bit. They hit Thiago quite a lot, didn't they? Didn't necessarily have. I thought Sharda was quite far off him. Didn't necessarily have that knock on. I thought that's where Leeds picked up that second ball. But a lot of the time when they were playing through the lines, they were just quicker. They were a lot quicker in doing it. It was more direct. I think you're allowed to.
Less touches.
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind heavy possession-based football, but there's a style of which Leeds do it, which I think is the more irritating thing. It's so pedestrian, it's so slow that it's really easy to shift over as an opponent and shift backwards. So, and I think that's probably where you see Dom, isolate a little bit because Metcha's naturally going to fall back a little bit, isn't he? If he's passing it side to side. So
I get that because I mean I'm 6'4". I was a striker. I was an old school number 9 striker, and you would because the more left to right it goes across the back line or the deep midfield, the more you're doing this side to side, and you're wasting energy just running left to right because you need to be in line with the ball. If they do decide to go direct with it, you need to be in line with the path of the ball because more than likely it's going to go straight up the line rather than it is like an angled ball. So you're constantly just doing this donkey work running across, and no one sees it. No, because the cameras on TV are focusing the football, so you don't see what he's doing. And most people in the ground are looking at the game, at where the ball is, so you're not watching him doing that. And he's just doing this. And then by the time the ball gets to him, he's been running up left and right for 20 minutes, half an hour of pointless running for no reason. I mean, they call it plowing a lone furrow for a reason. It's like you're just up there doing donkey work and hoping the ball gets you. So you want to get the best out of him. You need to get him the ball when he's got the energy to do it. You've got to get it from back to front quickly. You've got to get it before the defenders have set in, and you've got to get it before the midfield start to drop in on top of their back four. You've got that space for him to run in, and he doesn't have to win the header. All he has to do is compete for the ball, so it goes either straight up in the air, left or right, or drops down into a space where Leeds have got players running onto it. I think you've also seen it with Jayden Bogle as well. Like all of a sudden, Bogle looks far less effective. You look at the Chelsea game where he scored in that game, or was involved in the goal in that game. He's always bombing onto the ball.
It's like a cam, wasn't he? He was like a cam in that game. Yeah.
But that's how he's been at his best last season and this season, where the ball just bounces in front of him and he just tears onto it. Now his starting position is much higher up because Leeds are playing around the back. So he's gone early. And when he gets the ball, he's got his back to the goal and he's facing the Leeds player. So now all of a sudden his passing map, his backward pass is more so than forward runs because the way his body shape is when he's receiving it, he's going, well, there you have it back.
Yeah.
I can't do anything with this. So that's even affected those kind of players as well and how they approach the ball and get into areas then where if he's running onto a ball, he can whip that ball first time across and Dominic Calvert-Lewin's in an area where he can attack the ball. But no, because of that, he's not. So there's lots of knock-ons to that style of play as well. And you see it through the midfield. Ball will go into Ampadu and he'll take a touch and he'll have a little look. He'll take another touch. A little look. Take a touch, a little look. And then he'll go right 5 yards sideways. And you're going, that could have happened on your first.
Yeah. What grates me, Joe, is when, and I understand it to an extent, and it's managing risk. So if you're one of the centre backs and you're thinking, I want to get it to the furthest centre back, what irritates me is the fact that sometimes we will have to go to the centre midfielder to go back
to that direction,
and you methodically have to move over. But the problem is, I don't get that. I know it's mitigating against risk, and I'm being very pedantic here, but you're mitigating against risk because if you play a long ball, it might go off key and it might go straight to the centre forward, and you're playing it maybe 15 yards as opposed to playing it 2 to 5 yards, and it be. But you are slowing it down. You slow that, and I think like we mentioned it last season, mate. I think the case in point with Leeds in possession is. Sometimes I feel like I think we've got a lot of players on the half turn. I wonder how effective they are on the half turn. I think I love Al Tanaka on that half turn. I think he's a quicker player in that midfield on that half turn. I think with Al, it's just been, I think he's not been great when he's performed this season, and I will concede that.
Sometimes.
But I think a lot of the time, Joe, you'll know you've played the game. You know, there'd be times where I'd come off the bench or whatever, and then you'd start and you'd start and you'd start. You need minutes. You need minutes. You need minutes, and especially at the top level, you need minutes, and that can be applied to Willie Gnonto. But I was looking at the benches, and I've looked at the benches for the last 3 games. I know they've got absentees, some of the teams that we've faced, but you look at Palace, you've got Sunderland, Brentford. We've had better benches. We've had better benches than what they've
and
had.
Not used it for impact. We've used it to balance out what they've done at times. We haven't really used it to make an impact for us. Like, I mean, there's games, Villa away, I thought was a prime example of 60 minutes. Bring on Gnonto and James to play alongside Calvert-Lewin. Take off Aronson, take off Stack. Or take off Gruev and drop Stack in. You know? And then you've got an out ball. All of a sudden, that long direct ball to Calvert-Lewin, that defense is dropping 10 yards deeper because they're looking at Dan James and Gnonto going, if he gets a flick on, they're in behind.
So
we have to drop deeper. So now all of a sudden their midfield has to drop a bit deeper. Then their forward line has to drop a little bit deeper to close the lines. So now you're not defending on your 18-yard line. So you can defend by having a proper out ball or a different out ball, despite the fact that it's attackers. Like, I mean, Dan James may or may not always be effective, but he worries the life out of a fullback. He doesn't want to get isolated 1v1. So he's not, exactly. So he's going to drop 10 yards deeper. I can't let him get in behind me. Now he's not 10 yards further up the pitch. So that's that risk mitigated. You know, you've done that. So there's things that we could use the bench to push teams back while still being a little bit more adventurous. And I'm not going to criticize Farke for what he's done this season because, you know, and I did a podcast during the week on it. Are we defending our way to safety? And if that ends up being the case by the end of the season, job done. That was the job. We all said at the start of the year, we'll take 17th right now. Bite your hand off. We finished 16th or 15th, and he's done it because we're not conceding that many goals. And as Brownie very intelligently pointed out during the week, we did less goals on all the sides around us. So maybe he's onto something. You know, maybe he knows exactly what he's doing, but it's not exactly what we want to always see. But I do think there are areas where Leeds can add a bit more risk and get a bit more reward as a result of it, while still protecting themselves defensively a little bit. And these players, I mean, they call it reps for a reason. Like, players need reps. They need to be playing regularly. They need to be sharp. Tanaka's started 7 games this season. He's played 21, but he's only started 7. And when you've looked at the game,
mate, just to add to your point, I think that's the crazy thing I would say. It's like, you know, the narrative, and you hear about, well, Gnonto's been crap this season and Tanaka's been. I'm like, I'm just like, they're not. There can't be an assessment on them being crap this season because of the minutes they're playing. Like, I just find that bizarre. I really do.
It's tough coming into a game and then having to adjust to the speed of the game. But you're coming in the 70th, 75th, 80th minute.
Premier League game as well.
Yeah, you got to adjust to the tempo. It's not even easy in amateur football to come onto a pitch and adapt to the pace of a game. You know, anyone who's played the game for a while will know if you've been out for a bit, going back into that first game, it can feel like the game is just flying past you. Like, probably from the sideline, it looks like it's crawling pace, but when you're in the middle of it, you know, you've got to have. And I think Tanaka's best games this season have been when he's had a few games on the bounce. You know, and all of a sudden you start to see it. Like, against Chelsea, he was fantastic at home, absolutely fantastic. So. And we know what he can bring. Now, again, it's horses for courses. I do appreciate what Ilya Gruev brings to Leeds, but going back to your point a minute ago, it's the risk-reward stuff. It's not risky because Daniel Farke knows he won't give the ball away. He knows that when he comes off the park, his passing completion percentage will be 98, 96%, right? Yeah. Because it will be sideways and backwards. But he'll recycle the ball. And he'll block passing lanes and he'll do the defensive work. And for me, Gruev is a very good out-and-out defender in midfield.
Yeah, I get that.
That's for me that's his job.
Yeah.
But if you want to go and score goals and win games, and he's not the player you want to have in there, and sometimes Ethan Ampadu and him occupy the exact same space. So you're actually nullifying yourself in that situation of going, Amps is well capable of handling that position on his own. He doesn't need a babysitter in there to cover him. He's good. And he's got BL behind him. He's got Stroke and Roda. He's good.
Three centre backs behind him. Yeah.
Yeah, and essentially 2 more in front of him. You know, like that, there's no need for it. You know, in certain games against the Arsenals and the Man Cities and away at Aston Villa, whatever. Yeah, okay. I understand you starting with Gruev. I get the logic behind that. But against the likes of Brentford, against the likes of Sunderland, like, when I saw him start against Sunderland, I was like, what are we doing here? And then we saw exactly what we expected to see because him and Ampadu are in the same space. Like, if Tanaka's on that pitch, he's 10 yards higher.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you've got
more options.
Well, and we know Stack's an 8 for Leeds United, but he has been a 6 as well. So he does occupy, so he does occupy those positions a little bit at points as well, especially when we're trying to build up in possession. But yeah, I think it's the risk, mate. It's the risk versus reward. And I know there's a lot of Leeds fans, a lot of my community. I'm not sure about your community, mate, but probably a little bit worried. Some are obviously fine, and I understand that. It feels split at the minute, doesn't it?
Split. Yeah. Some are super confident and some are really worried.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, for me, it's what I've seen is we're absolutely fine. Why are we talking about this? And then other people we're already down.
And is it? Do you think a lot of it as well is like how you rate the squad? Like, I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's like some people who maybe don't rate the bench. Some people don't rate Peru, James, Bornau, Tanaka and Onto. If you don't rate the bench and you don't, it's kind of like, well, what can you do to, have that conclusion of Leeds United getting to a better state? And that's kind of where I'm at. I feel this squad is decent. I think it's a good team. I think it's got good rotation. I genuinely believe that. So that's why maybe sometimes I'm a little bit more critical, because I feel that Leeds do we have a level to go? I think a level's maybe a bit extreme at Premier League level, but I think there's definitely, maybe a step or two that this squad can get to from my personal perspective. That's what I think. And I think at stages, this Leeds United side, there will be times where attack is the best form of defense. Because I think when we sit into this like mid to low block, I think when we get to that point, I mean, we've seen against Everton, we've seen against Villa, we've seen, like you said, multiple times of the season where we sit and you think they're going to score. They're going to score. They're going to get through us here because they're able to push their back line 10 yards up. They're not worrying about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's completely isolated, and Leeds are sat in banks, and it's like they're going to be too good. In comparison to Leeds, they've been Premier League established sides. Whether or not it's, if you move outside of the teams that got promoted with us, the others have the technical efficiency to get through these two banks of 4.
And the data backs that up. Leeds have conceded the most amount of goals in the Premier League this season after 90 minutes. Like, the data backs that up. And if you look at those games, and I've said it all season, when we sit back on the edge of our 18-yard line, we invariably will concede.
Yeah, you know what's coming. Yeah.
It happens. Villa as well. Yeah, it's a jammy goal off his knee that goes in the top corner. If it went anywhere else, but they're the ifs and buts. But the fact is we sat back and absorbed. And at Premier League level, there's only so much absorbing of pressure you can get before the quality will pop up at least once. And that's all it has
especially against Villa, when like you're bringing Jadon Sancho, Ross Barkley, Tammy Abraham off the bench. It's like, what's coming.
Jadon Sancho turned that game around. Funny, I was sitting in the Villa part of the ground with my brother because he's a Villa fan. But I was sitting on my hands trying to, pretend I was a Villa fan to try and get through the game because I had an Irish Villa fan beside me who just wouldn't stop talking to me. No matter how one-word answers I gave him, he was
it's not like the Irish.
I just popped himself down beside him and goes, "This your normal seat?" I went, "No." And he's like, please don't, no follow-up questions. And then by second half, we were talking about goalkeepers. But it was, you could see it. We were just dropping. And the flip to this is, because I don't want to be negative.
Yeah.
This team is at its absolute best when they're on the front foot.
Agreed.
This team plays its most fluid football when they attack. This team is dangerous when they move at a pace. And I said this last season as well. When the handbrake is let off, this side can go.
It can.
And I believe that this side can go. And we've seen enough evidence this year. The first, 20 minutes against Man City at home, just went for the jugular with them. Just no stopping. And you can see it from the kick out.
Everton away, Everton away, first 45. Yeah. Brilliant.
Oh, fantastic. And that's the flip side. And that's why I like this squad. There is gears to this team. And they can go. It's the tip-off. When we do a tip-off where it goes back to Darlow, and everyone runs forward. They're all lined up in the halfway line. You can go, right, they're going for this.
Yeah.
And then you look at other games and it goes back to Stroke and you're like, oh, we're going to do this today. And how many times are we going to give it to Carl Darlow now from this position? So you can see it. But this side have got levels. This side has got gears. This side can go. This side can compete. This side has competed. If you look at the data, if you look at the games, and I mean, I think I wrote it down this year. I'm trying to find the numbers, but I think it's 21 games we've conceded 1 goal in. And then there's 10 games where we've conceded none. So 31 of our 33 or 34 games, We've conceded 1 or less goals, which is fantastic. So if we can score a couple of goals, we've got a really strong chance of winning some games.
And I know as well, Joe. You look at the future. I think you seem like quite a long-term thinker as well when you're looking at like projections and trajectory of this football club. I mentioned on the video yesterday, I know you caught it, but obviously with my work and what I do a hell of a lot on the Championship. So I keep very, very almost more than the Premier League, if I'm being brutally honest with everyone in here, probably more than the Premier League. So I'm keeping tabs on it, and if we're able to stay up this season, it just would be so big for the football club, because I maybe give a tip Coventry because they've got excellent recruitment. So Millwall, to be fair, if they were to come up, but I think it's going to be a big ask. If Coventry to come up, I feel like they'll invest a lot. But aside from that, Leeds have got a real opportunity. We're not looking at a top side. You know, we might be looking at, in 2 years' time, let's say, there might be a Forest and a Wolves and a Burnley coming up, and you think, oh God, or vice versa, you know, West Ham or whatever, maybe even us, who knows? But it's the case of us having such an ability right now to build on what we have, and we've got an advantage really because the Championship's been so poor this season. So it's just imperative, isn't it, mate, that we stay in the division, especially like we said, coming all the way back to the start with the fixtures that we've got, with where we are in the table. They've just got to stay up.
They have to. I mean, it's vital for it. We've seen the work going on at Elland Road now on the redevelopment. That's happening. Regardless, that's happening. There's trucks in there right now. There's bigger work. They're going to use the 4 weeks they've got without a home game to start and get a decent amount of the work done. So that tells you the direction that the club wants to go in. Like, they're not hanging around with this. They've got the plan information and they're going. We have to stay up. But I think, and again, the recruitment team have gone through. This was a dog shit summer. Actually, the recruitment was really good. The recruitment's been shocking. It's like, well, actually, we probably don't need anyone in January. Why didn't we sign somebody in January? We've all been on this roller coaster all year. But again, going back to the numbers that Leeds, like 31 games this season where we've conceded, actually 32 if you include Brentford, conceded 1 or less goals. For a newly promoted side, that's really good.
Yeah.
That means, and if you look at the players we brought in, a lot of them were defensive. Like Stack was brought in as one of the best central defensive midfielders in European football when he came in. You looked at BL coming in, you looked at Borno coming in, James Justin coming in. Like we and then question marks over the goalkeeper, although even him, if you look at the statistics, on average he's conceded less goals than Darlow, but you know, the eye test is different. The recruitment have got that defensive side right, and we know Daniel Farke has said all season that we lack the individual quality, and we know, and he's right, we do, and I back him on that. And I don't think they necessarily gave him what he needed in January, and I don't think they gave him everything that he needed in the summer. But the basis of the squad they've given him is a foundation to build on, and I genuinely believe that. And if you stay up with this squad, I think you go into next summer going, we don't need defenders. Maybe a left back. That's probably it. We can spend the money on creative players. We can spend the money on different, maybe a goalkeeper, yeah. Although I still think Perry will come good, but you know, I could be wrong on that. Someone's currently smashing keyboards right now, telling me how wrong I am on
me.
You. Okay, I get like, I'm going, what were you talking about? That was nuts. Lost your credibility.
Fuck off, Joe.
Yeah, so there's that, right? But then you look at it and go, well, you can bring in individual quality now, like that 100 million plus whatever you make from sales, right? Maybe you go off and buy a 45 million, 50 million pound individual player who can make a difference next season, because you know the defensive solidity is there. So now
big signing,
and you can just keep building now on this squad. And the ages of these players are good, so you've got a couple of years, you know.
Imagine how exciting it'd be, mate, going into a World Cup and then knowing Leeds are staying up. It'd just be what a summer we'd have. God,
that'd be fantastic. And like I am optimistic that we've got enough to stay in the league. But again, I always just caveat that by going, but it depends how we approach these games.
You are right. I think that's a perfect way of putting it with the approach. I wanted to press you a little bit as well on Facundo Buonanotte.
Yeah.
So I've actually not heard your take on this. Obviously not included in the squad again at the weekend. I think Farke did want him, if you're to believe reports, in the summer, and then obviously we did get him. the verbatim vernacular that was used was felt very harsh on him immediately. I thought he was really good when he came on against Everton, was terrible against Birmingham. And then once again, I guess we have to apply that logic again, don't we, Jer? If you're not given minutes at any point, then there's going to be no development here, and it is what it is. And I guess when we're kind of looking at that creative spark and we're looking at something in the middle, of which maybe Brendan's not providing at this moment in time, obviously we can talk about Tanaka, we can talk about Nonto inverting and giving something in there. But then I guess the big elephant in the room at the minute, and the forgotten man, is Facundo Buonanotte, who could provide maybe some of that instinct.
I think a lot of it is down to himself. I think I agree with Fabian Hutzler, who said he has to live with the consequences of his actions. That was a very harsh comment from his parents.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, Hutzler was asked about what's the situation. He said, look, he knows he needs to work hard. He needs to do the work. And if he's not getting picked, then that's down to the coach and the manager of the club that he's playing at right now. But he has made decisions this season, and he has to live with the consequences of those actions. And if he decides to knuckle down, work hard, and fix it, then he'll bear fruits from that. But if he doesn't, he has to deal with the consequences.
What do you think that is?
I think if you take that and add it to Daniel Farke's comments around hard work as well, I think there's a work ethic issue here. I think that's two managers that have both said hard work, and I don't think either manager says things for effect. I think there are a little... I like to watch Daniel Farke's press conference and read between the lines, or listen to different answers to different questions, because if he's got a point he wants to make but doesn't want to say it outright, he'll drop little nuggets in along the way. He will leave you breadcrumbs. And you can go, well, he wanted to talk about this today. Nobody really asked him directly, but he found the way of squeezing in.
It was like the Peru striker. It's like Peru striker one last year, wasn't it?
Right. I just started his season in Peru as well before the January window as well. He wanted to talk about what, because he knew it was a topic, and I don't think Daniel Farke is... I think Daniel Farke is a very clever man. I think he knows exactly what the fan sentiment is. I think he's pretty tuned into it as well.
Oh, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Definitely.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he does at times. And at times, I actually quite enjoy some of the press conferences, because people will say, "Well, he said nothing there." I'm like, well, actually, if you have a little bit of a think about and then put the questions together, like, you will get the... I mean, he did want to talk about the January transfer window at the end of January, the last week of it. But Baron Cross found two very clever ways of asking him different questions, and by the end of it, we had a very clear answer about what his thoughts were on January. So he will give you what you want eventually. I looked at Buonanotte against Birmingham. I thought, is he carrying a little bit of weight?
I thought
he didn't. Yeah. Could be the black jersey as well, just being a bit baggier on him. I just thought he doesn't look to be the slim.
Doyle killed him, didn't he? Absolutely killed him.
Absolutely. But funnily enough, I thought in the last 5-10 minutes of the first half, he was starting to get into the game a little bit more. And I thought, okay, he's building himself into this poor start, but he's not hiding. He is looking for the ball.
He didn't hide, I didn't think.
No. Yeah, he's trying to get involved in the game. I thought he's all right. He's gone back to doing it simple. He's taken the old school advice of, like, just simplify it for the next 5-10 minutes, work your way into the game. And then he was with the halftime. You're like, it's a shame, because I think maybe he needed this. Let him go out and stink up the joint in the second half, but let him play. But I think he's done. I think it's a loan that they wanted to have a look at, and maybe a permanent move in the summer. I think they've now looked at it and went...
It's a strange one as well, because I've got a couple of mates who are Leicester fans I play football with on a Sunday, and they were just saying he was top for us. Absolutely brilliant. He was so influential in anything they did. Even if the numbers don't back it up, sometimes he'd just get them out of a little bit of bother. One of the lads said to me, it was a little bit like, you'll normally get Bernardo Silva dropping, and he'll maybe pick the ball up in between the two centre backs or whatever, and be able to drag them up the pitch. Said he was a little bit like that. But yeah, it's strange what's happened. I mean, Leeds and loans have been interesting over the past couple of years, haven't they?
Last 20 years, have we ever done loans properly? Teams have benefited from loans, and we always seem to get it wrong. Look, I think there are other players in there that can do that job. It would have been nice. And again, I think you look at what Daniel Farke said, and again, I think it was a deliberate comment.
Yeah.
If it works out, great. If it doesn't, it was low risk. So they're kind of nearly throwing it away immediately by saying, look back.
Said it on like the 7th of Feb.
I know it. 2 weeks ago, going, I don't think it's what I thought I was getting here. But yeah, I mean, and you don't know until you see them in training. And the kid has made a mistake this year. He's listened to an agent and he's gone to Chelsea. That was a bonkers decision. And anybody with a brain knew that was going to pan out the way that it panned out.
Just got a part of it. Do you think that plays a part in all this?
Yeah. He barely kicked the ball all season. So by the time he got to Leeds, he had half a season of no football.
But in terms of, if I've got my tinfoil hat on, in terms of like, you've rejected Leeds. This is kind of just a little bit of a marker I've got in my head. You're not fit, but This is another
I know
little
what you're
marker
gonna
I've got in my head.
no, I don't think that. But I do think it's a fact of he went to Chelsea and wasn't playing. So is he going to be as focused as he should be? Is he going to be watching the diet as much as he should be? Is he going to be pushing himself and training as much as he should be? And then by the time you get to January, is he just 5, 10, 15% off of where he should be? And that's huge in the Premier League. And then he comes into Leeds and Fark is like, well, I thought I was getting the guy we saw last year.
Yeah.
Who's this kid? This kid. The skill is there, but the movement's not there. The sharpness on the ball isn't. And the sharpness on the ball is not there. You could see that against Birmingham. The decision making wasn't perfect. The passes weren't crisp. He was leaving things a little bit short. He was overhitting things. You know, but again, that's reps, that's repetition, that's being involved in matches, that's being involved. That training is not the same as a match. The tempo is never the same.
I also think against Everton, we were kind of playing out at the very end for that 1-1 draw. So it was all about just keeping the ball a little bit, and he came on. And he did quite well just keeping the ball under no pressure. I felt obviously when it was against Birmingham, it was the intentions are completely different. Birmingham are trying to rush and get the ball back. We're trying to instigate some sort of passage of play in the offensive third. So it's a very different game, very different state. So
we've seen Leeds use the international breaks before to get players up to speed. Who weren't away. They could use these 2 weeks now and the FA Cup matches as an example for him to play in, to get him up to speed, to absolutely do a mini pre-season with him and run him, get the weight where it needs to be, get the focus where it needs to be, and get him on the park against West Ham in the FA Cup, or get him involved in the squad in that game. You know, I'm waiting to see then. But if he doesn't feature in that West Ham game, then that's it.
How do you feel about that, the West Ham game? How do you feel? I guess in terms of A, do you think he'll go strong for it? I think he will. Do you think he'll go strong for it? And B, I guess, like, how do you see it going? It looks like Somerville and Tadibo are going to be back for it. So,
of course they are.
Yeah. Apparently that's the rumor anyway. But that, you know, I guess, Journey, and it brings on the whole conversation. And if you can just tangent off to this as well, you're like me, you're good at tangenting. But if you can tangent off to the, I guess, the other teams as well in around this relegation picture. But obviously the starting point is West Ham in the cup. How do you look at that?
I like the fact that we've got this game coming after international break, given Leeds really poor record after international breaks. I'm glad it's not a league game that we're coming out, because we're not worried about Tanaka coming back with jet lag, or Aronson coming back with jet lag, or having 18 hours to recover and blah blah. And we've got 11 players away in international duty, so you've got, and after the FA Cup game, you've got 8 days, I think, before we play Manchester United away. So it's like a regular game week. So this for me is nearly, if we can win this game, great, you're into a semi-final of an FA Cup. If we don't win it, we've gotten it out of the way. We've gotten the cobwebs out of the system. And we've got a dry run down at the London Stadium, and maybe getting a chance to go down there and play, and then having to go there again in a couple of weeks' time. Maybe there's a dress rehearsal there a little bit, but I'm okay with it. I think there's more important games. I genuinely believe it's Wolves, Bournemouth, Burnley saves the season. They're the three. And if we can get 7 points from those 3 games, I think we're good.
Yeah, so, I do. Yeah, I think if Bournemouth feels like it's an absolute go down there and shit house the hell out the game.
Get a point away there, and then beat Burnley and beat Wolves. And you have to approach those games where you have to try and win it from the first minute.
That's where it is as well, isn't it? It's like, I know people that are turning around, and saying, I think Burnley's going to be really difficult. I think it's going to be really
freedom. Both of those are going to be difficult because they're gone. So the pressure of having to stay in the Premier League is off their shoulders. So they're playing
and they've been playing in this low block for the entire season as well. You know, both of them, when you look at it. So it's Wolves maybe a little bit less, because obviously earlier on in the season they were a little bit more of a transitional team. I think that helped us when we were down there. But yeah, definitely Burnley, and we've not got the greatest last sort of 3 or 4 games against Burnley, have we? And that might.
Scott Parker and Fark is not a great record.
Scott Parker and Fark, oh God, yeah. So he's they're gonna have to overcome it, mate. The task. I was gonna say it's simple. It's not simple, but the task is there for Leeds United to stay up. And you couldn't have. God, if you'd have said to me in January, before the season started, the position that we're in right now, the fixtures that we've got coming up, I'd have been delighted.
Happily.
Absolutely delighted.
And I think they've got the ability to do this.
Yeah. On the other teams then, mate, just briefly, how are you looking at them at the minute? I mean, West Ham, Spurs are a basket case, aren't they? Forest seem to have turned it round a little bit. Obviously, 2 wins on the bounce if you're including Europe.
I thought Pereira would get a tune out that side because of how he likes to play football, and they had the players that could play football. I think you've seen a real shift. The fact that Lorenzo Luca was brought in by John Dyche and then hasn't kicked the balls in the prayer since
one goal, Joe.
Against us, yeah, exactly, yeah. And then a footballing manager comes in and bombs him out of the squad completely.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, you're not part of this group." Right? Yeah, they've got individuals that can make a difference. You know, we've seen that. Like, Gibbs White is scrapping for this. If nothing else, he's scrapping for a move in the summer. Him and Elliot Anderson don't get moves away from Nottingham Forest if they stay up. They just don't, because Marinakis won't sell them.
No,
we've seen that already with him.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe take the foot off the gas a little bit, lads, if you want to get your summer moves.
The big thing's Chris Wood coming back as well, isn't it? Scored for the under 21s the other day, so it'll be interesting to see him.
Yeah. Look, he adds, but he's in the similar mold of Iker Jesus as well, anyway, and Taiwo as well. So like they're similar mold of player. Sean Dyche would have loved them.
Yeah, he would. Yeah,
them, wouldn't he? Back off a wall right now. I think they'll. Their games are tougher. If I'm being honest. West Ham, I believed for a long time will be fine. I think got them moving. The only thing, and I agree with Simon Jordan on this, the fact that they have been picking up points and are still in the relegation zone might just start to demoralize the fan base.
Still 4 points behind us and goal difference, which is crazy looking at their run. I mean, they won 4 games. They won 4 games in 9.
Yeah, and again, if we can get the results against Burnley and Wolves, that could be massive. You know, that's where it starts to accordion back out again after getting a bit compact. So, yeah, Spurs are in trouble. They're in big trouble. I don't know if the fight is in that squad. I still think individually wise, I think Mohamed Kudus coming back for him is a massive plus, because I think
huge,
he's a cracking player, and he started the season so strong for them.
Drum against us, he was the difference, wasn't he? Road.
He was against a lot of sides in the first 6-8 weeks of the season. He was absolutely phenomenal for them. I think that's a bonus for them. Whether how match sharp he will be coming back in and how for the fight you'll be, again, remains to be seen. Their home record has been abysmal. We have to go there. Dr. Leeds coming to town.
I'm glad you said
it. We'll see how that one goes. But yeah, fingers crossed we can get something again. But again, if their fans are against them and we set up correctly, you know, no reason why we can't get something.
Yeah.
Their next manager will be an interesting decision. I mean, if they go for Adi Hooter, which is just a
I'm glad you've said his name that way.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's an autocorrect nightmare. That one is. And then a friend of mine said to me, of all clubs to put a man with that name in.
Oh,
I went, what do you mean? He goes, Spurs. And I went, oh, I never connected those
someone
two
said
dots.
Someone said it to me on a stream the other day, and I was like, there's a freeze frame of Callum Fowler on the other channel. I say his name, and all he does to the camera is he goes, just stares at it. Nothing is said. He just stares down the camera because, like you said, I mean, it is. I know it sounds daft, but even from like a PR perspective, like you look at that, I mean, it's all horrific, isn't it? Like
the typos. There's gonna be a typo. There's gonna be an autocorrect. There's gonna be something that just it's too close.
Too close, yeah.
Yeah. So Adi Hooter. Adi. Yeah. So I don't know if he's necessarily the right choice. You know, I think. Look, Tim Sherwood's twerking like mad for the job. Please let me get back into football. Someone give me a chance. Give me 5 minutes.
Redknapp's another one, isn't he?
He's doing, but Sherwood's doing prime Joe Cole in England, where I can play anywhere. Just give me, okay, I can do 5 minutes anywhere. Just give me a game. Yeah. You know, let me play. So I think it's, but funnily enough, I think that's the kind of appointment that will get them out of trouble, because I think you bring in a local English manager who knows the club and get them back to basics. And I think if they start doing the basics again, well, they've got the ability the players to get out there. But it's a toss up between the three of them, because if West Ham's form. If West Ham have had their purple patch now and their form starts to dip, which it will, because teams' forms ebb and flow all season, and if we're going through our bad spell now and we start to pick up form coming out of it, it could be exactly as it is, And everyone I've looked at who's predicted the end of the season, I know you guys are different, but online have West Ham finishing bottom 3.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice. It sounds horrible, but it'd be nice from a performance level if Somerville was out for the season. It's just,
it would be great, wouldn't it?
It's just typical, isn't it? It's absolutely typical that it's Somerville, and him just.
I saw someone online say, "Can we get Berardi out of returnement for one game in that FA Cup match and just let him lay into him?
Just kick him, just kick him in the air."
He was marked out of the game at Elland Road, like he was anonymous in that match.
Yeah, he was. I think he came back from injury in and around that time, I think. But he's just. Can't believe, to be honest, mate, don't know. Is it looking at him from another team? Was he this good at Leeds? I'm sure he was. Maybe it's just because he's at the Premier League.
At times, yeah. And in transition is where he's at his best. So when they have to counter-attack, that's where he's at. And Leeds won't set up like that. So,
no. It's just when he carries the ball. Like, you're watching him for West Ham carrying the ball, and I'm like, was he this quick and this direct for Leeds? And I'm like,
we know what he's gonna do. Down the left, put inside, bend it
in the bottom corner or top corner. He's the problem, I think. He's the problem.
But Bowen as well, because Bowen's been.
Matis Fernandez has been. I mean,
he's a cracking player. Yeah,
I don't think we couldn't end up getting anywhere near him. But I mean, this conversation's about Real Madrid looking at him, so that's how good he's looking at the minute. He's 21, isn't he? So, so gun to your head. Who's going?
Oh, feck it, Spurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know if they've got the fight, and I've called that Spurs dressing room fragile for a couple of years. Going back to even when Jose was there, when Pochettino was there, I kept saying it. The issue with Spurs has never been the manager. I watched that Spurs documentary as well, and like, there is no personality in that dressing room. There is no fight in that. It's a really odd place. And I think, although the players have changed over the years, I think the mentality has been bred into the next group, and passed on. And I think it's an incredibly fragile dressing room. And I don't know if they've got the fight for it. And I don't know if they can handle their fans. You look at the Leeds fans, we're pushing Leeds to get over the line. You look at West Ham fans, they've turned now. They want the fan. They're pushing.
They've got evidence, haven't they? They've got evidence it can work. Yeah.
I can. A huge crap. And we saw when we went down, when we saw how little effort our team were putting in, and the level after the Crystal Palace game turned the season. Once our fans turned against that side, they were done. They were toast.
They were.
Because they didn't have the weight. They couldn't carry. Didn't have the shoulders to carry the weight of that shirt and the expectation. And I don't know if the Spurs players have that. I mean, Romero has shown this season that he doesn't.
Van de Ven as well.
Who again? I have a lot of time for Christian Romero. Like, up until this season, I would have looked at him as a centre half, going, he has the bottle and fight that I love in the centre half. And I looked at him this season, and went, guy's unhinged. The guy's not handling the pressure well here at all. And he's a World Cup winner. Mickey Van de Ven's probably one of the paciest, best footballing centre backs in the division. Looks all over the shop right now. Archie Gray's their best player at the moment, and they're putting all their weight on his shoulders to try and keep them in the league. And he can handle that because he's been at Leeds. He knows that he can handle that expectation. But I don't know if they've got the bottle to do this. And I think if they get a couple of bad results, if we were to go there and beat them,
I think that'll be
big trouble.
I think 9th of May is huge. If we beat them down there, I think it'll be curtains.
I think the next Premier League game is huge because West Ham play Wolves.
And then
West Ham win and Spurs lose.
Yeah, and that's then the West Ham have shown it. It's the hunter and the hunted, isn't it? It's the hunter and the hunted. Can you deal with that? Been in the bottom three. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. Players do look at your TikTok. I mean, TikTok's massive, isn't it? It's short form content, so they're all over there looking at that. I know that for a fact. So it's like, you've got so many content creators like, oh, Spurs are this, Spurs are that, and there's so much more media attention with them at the minute. Are they going to be able to deal with them being 18th and then coming up? I mean, if they go 18th, they've then got Sunderland away, and then they've got Brighton at home. They are not easy to get. Brighton at the minute as well, because Brighton is so transitionally good, and they've won 4 out of 5 games. It's a nightmare for them, that.
Pressure's off them. They've got a mid-table season. Pressure's off.
Yeah.
Sunderland are excellent at home.
They're very good, yeah.
So yeah, it's the line that should always worry every fan. You're too big to go down. Definitely,
mate. Well, good place to end it, mate. What have you got coming up on the channel anyway? Obviously, if you guys don't know, Jer has a Leeds channel, and you've got a wrestling channel as well, mate.
I do, yeah. It's a slow burn. Myself and Mike Christian, two big wrestling nerds, because we're still 7 years of age, so we still watch a lot of it. It's an AEW focused wrestling channel at the moment. We'll expand it over time, but yeah, staying on brand. It's called The Wrestling View. So yeah, so I'm about as original as a binary code, but yeah, it's that's launched now as well. So we've got some stuff up there, and yeah, just the normal stuff. Daily news is out on the channel. Some podcasts. Actually, did a really good pod with Benjamin Bloom around what the championship would look like next season if Leeds fell into it, or what the sides coming up would do if Leeds stay in the Premier League. And yeah, good feedback on that. Ben was cracking as well. So yeah, we know all about him. Yeah. Make sure you check out everybody. I'll put Jer's links in the title as well, so make sure you go on over to his channel and check out the good stuff. And yeah, thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you in a bit. Cheers.